So I'm Tom Chepakavich. I'm the founder of Zia Hub. We are a cloud solution in the real estate space focused on for sale by owner transactions. So this is a picture of my mother when I told her I wanted to be an entrepreneur. No, just kidding. This is what the problem we're addressing is people are tired of paying exorbitant real estate commissions, 6% on a transaction. They're looking for alternatives. They want the DIY solution. So there's a lot of steps and process involved in listing and selling a home, everything from the inspection to the escrow, to the lending, to clearing the title. So this platform addresses that with a workflow solution. So here's a picture, screenshot of the workflow solution. You have the steps, confirm, earnest money, those types of things. It's routed to the buyer and seller, and it actually walks them through the process, and it gives you a dashboard of where you are in the transaction. There's timelines for completing each task. So this is kind of an educational tool as well as a communication. If you're working with a broker, they're communicating with the buyer-seller through this interface. This is actually our marketing platform. This is a home that's being sold by an investor here in Albuquerque. So this is kind of where the user registers and gets the process started. We also have featured listings and those types of things. There's also educational resources, videos, white papers, blogs on things like how an escrow works, how the inspection works, what to look for, the pitfalls and traps. So, millennials are entering the market in record numbers now. They were scared off in 08 and 09 by the crash, and they're actually just now entering the market, and the statistics are pretty amazing how many of them are buying homes. So they're looking for a streamlined digital solution, and this is a mobile responsive cloud app that'll walk them through the process. The technology is an open API built in Laravel, backed by Amazon Aurora. There is an artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning aspect to it for routing process steps and continuous improvement, focusing on bottlenecks, those types of things, and actually working with API data. The entire stack is hosted on AWS, and the front end is built in AngularJS and served via the Amazon CloudFront. So the team, I'm the founder. I am a broker. I've worked with Realty One here in Albuquerque. I went to Georgetown University undergrad degree in finance. I have an EMBA from the University of Michigan. As Charles mentioned, I was recently the VP of operations at Boomtime, and I actually had a gig up in Denver as the director of operations for AutoPay. So I have a background in tech and real estate. Prabhakar Kathuru, our CTO, he's actually a director of strategy and enterprise architecture at Oracle. And then Patrick Robson was a product manager at Capital One Bank, worked on their application, their mobile app, and their customer experience. He's got an EMBA from the Darden School at the University of Virginia. Rollout, we're kicking it off here in Albuquerque, working in Santa Fe as well. And then we're going to move up to Denver, and then onwards to San Diego and Austin, and then countrywide. We're actually negotiating a contract with the National Association of Real Estate Publishers. They're in 25 states and have over 4,000 brokers, so that would give us distribution in 25 states. So the service advantage, primarily the ease of use. Again, I mentioned the millennials, people looking for a digital streamlined solution it's a daunting process. I bought my first home about 10 years ago, and I was working about 60 hours a week. I didn't have time. There's all these things. You got to sign this paper. You got to drive over here. You're trading voicemails with folks. This really addresses that pain point and smooths the solution. So it's a differentiator for realtors. We're focused on for sale by owner, but this is also a tool for realtors to differentiate themselves. It's a very competitive market. There's over 3,000 brokers in the Albuquerque area, and they're looking for ways to differentiate themselves, and this is one way. Visual ratings, we're going to have ratings of brokers. We're going to have the task list element, the workflow, the process piece, service provider tools. We're going to have advertising for lenders and inspectors and architects that do floor plans, and then profiles of users. It'll have kind of a social media aspect. So I wanted to wrap up. My contact info is tom@ziahub.com. My phone number is 505-681-9082. And I'm opening the floor for questions.
I got two questions. The first one is, that's such a crowded space, right? Like, we get questions all the time about cloud-based systems for all sorts of every part of real estate. And so, are you, in your mind, are you unique? Are you guys the only ones doing this? And with that, what would stop Zillow or anybody else from just adding onto their cloud and making it available for others? The second question is, when I saw your user interface, it did seem very inviting, like you'd really showcase the home in a wonderful way, which would just be graphic design. So is this a phase one? Are you going to evolve to that, or what are your plans for that?
Sure. So in terms of competition, there aren't many really focusing on for sale by owner, which is really kind of the niche that we're targeting out of the gate. And then, honestly, I haven't seen a great workflow solution. At Realty One, we had a pretty robust tool, but it didn't have the routing and the communication that really smooths the transaction. So we really feel we have a strong differentiator there. In terms of the actual cloud solution, this is phase one. We're going to build on it and eventually have a mobile app and a more dynamic, robust solution.
My name is David Knockhand, retired. One, I second that your website looked pretty bland as far as showcasing houses, but you say you're working with a for sale by owner, and now you're involving a bunch of realtors in here, so it's looking like we have realtors involved and for sale by owner. How are you making money? How are home buyers and sellers saving money if you still have realtors in there, and who's paying you?
Yeah, so there's a cost per transaction. We're making money through advertising, and then the bigger chunk, as we move into the brokerages, is a referral, 25% of the 3% that the broker takes. And then, some of the feedback I'd like eventually, we'd like to get with the for sale by owner transactions, we'd like to get to 1% of the transaction, and I'm kind of struggling with how to get there when they're for sale by owner. How do they commit, and why don't they just do it on their own? So I'm trying to move beyond the cost per transaction into an actual, the virtual brokerage model where we're getting a percentage of the transaction.
How many houses do you have to process to break even a year?
To break even, we have minimal costs right now. Our solution with Talify is very inexpensive. So I'd say probably about 100 in a year right now. We're bootstrapped. We have minimal costs right now. So.
Do you plan on vetting the other people that are going to be able to advertise on the site, or is it kind of open to anybody?
Right now it's open. Even in a for sale by owner transaction, you need a title company to clear the title, make sure there's no liens. You need inspectors, you need architects. So the vetting process, though, I do have a strong referral network that I've established through Realty One. When I was there, actually, the first iteration of this, when I was with Realty One, every day or two I'd have a realtor emailing across the network looking for a referral for an HVAC vendor. And so the original solution was focusing on services, a marketplace for services, and we pivoted more into real estate. So yeah, in terms of sourcing the advertising, there is a vetting process, and I'm really focusing on the folks we worked with at Realty One. So yeah.
Josh from the Group. I was curious, do you pursue your clients as a company, or do they usually come to you asking to sell as a private seller? Using a realtor. Can you repeat the question for the back?
Yeah.
So do you pursue your clients? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so his question was, do I pursue my clients, or do they come to me in especially in a for sale by owner transaction? Is that kind of the gist of your question? Yeah. Right now, we're really pushing and calling up home sellers and really pushing, but eventually, we do have people coming to us for advice. So eventually, it'll grow into a space where people are coming to us.
So, going through our coaching process together, Charles White, organizer here with Million Cups. Going through our coaching process, one of the things that really stuck out to me was the fact that you're using machine learning in an application like that. For me, machine learning is something that's
that has a very defined application, and you only see it in certain instances. What gave you the insight to be able to put machine learning into your application, and how are you going to use that to continually expand?
Sure. So Talify, actually, one of our partners.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So the question was, how, the machine learning aspect. How did we come to that? And I think a lot of folks don't really connect machine learning with real estate. But when we were working with our partner Talify, they actually introduced this machine learning element for continuous improvement of the processes, routing the processes, adjusting the timelines, and kind of learning transaction by transaction. So that was really exciting. We actually have a concept that we're working on where we actually present targeted properties to home buyers based on their preferences and things like crime in the neighborhood and school districts, kind of, a data-driven presentation of properties to potential customers.
What was the name of the company that does your machine learning?
Talify. Tallyfy. They're primarily focused on. There's kind of this platform called BPM, Business Process Management, that you're basically developing a schematic for business processes, typical flowchart boxes, triangles, that type of thing, but actually working your business processes through that and routing via email and social media what happens when, and creating a schematic for an operating system for your company. That's kind of a high-level overview of what BPM is. That's what Talify does. And now they're incorporating the AI and machine learning into the BPM platform.
I'm Marco from Brazil, and I'd like to know if you have some benchmark here in the US or that does exactly what you do already?
A benchmark in terms of, there are competitors. There's a company called Jet Closing. They're slightly different. They're not focused on for sale by owner, and they're kind of limited in the closing processes. They're not a full end-to-end provider. They're all over Phoenix right now, billboards. And they're growing. The real estate space, it's still very fragmented in terms of CRMs and digital platforms for brokerages, and there are a lot out there. Loop was actually a solution acquired by Facebook. They actually they do workflow process, but again, not focused on for sale by owner and not as end-to-end as ours is, and they don't provide the educational resources that we provide. So those are kind of the benchmarks. These companies, I believe Loop raised $100 million. They're scaling and they're out there. They're fragmented, but we believe we can really compete in that space.
So you have a couple of business partners. How did that, how did you guys, number one, get connected? And number two, how did you decide on this industry to go into?
Sure. So my partners, Prabhakar, his nickname's Reddy, we worked together when I was with Accenture, the management consulting firm. We had a contract with the state, and we worked together for 4 years. And then we both left. He went to Oracle. So, I established a relationship with him there. And he's done a lot. In the early part of this, we were working on a mobile application, and then decided to bootstrap in with the cloud solution. But he had developed that all out, and we continued our relationship there. Patrick Robson, we worked together at P&M in the Lean Six Sigma department, and he actually moved out to Virginia to work for Capital One, but we've stayed in close contact, and he's just really strong on the product management, UX design. He's working on the mobile app for Capital One Bank. They're a multi-billion-dollar Fortune 500 company, and so he was really excited about this opportunity. And that geographic spread, Prabhakar is actually in Dallas with Oracle, so it gives us some other potential markets to expand in with them being present there. The second question was,
how did you decide on this market?
This market, yes. So, as I mentioned, we started in the services space, but as I was getting my real estate license, I started to see these pain points. And being a process nerd, there's so much process involved with a real estate transaction. I was like, this is ripe. There's so much pain. This is a really rough experience for folks, and I think we can really smooth it out.
So, and you got a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I know first I know some other brokers at FISBO helping, and I'm wondering if you worked in that area. And the second one was that a lot of their focus is on like helping the buyer market to sell their house, like listing and staging and all that stuff. They'll give them advice on that. Do you have that as part of your workflow?
Yeah, that kind of consultative approach is definitely part of the the deal here. There's all different kind of there's a spectrum of transaction types. Some folks will. The first home I bought, the owner just paid for the MLS listing. The MLS is the national database. Actually, and there's regional. I think there's about 4 in New Mexico: Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Las Cruces, and another one. But so they'll pay for that. We're looking to rival that with our own database for FISBO. But yeah, the consultative approach, we're definitely there. The educational resources, how to stage your home. There's all different markets right now. There's, people are taking photos of their homes with drones. We'll have guidance on that. So yeah, I don't want to go as far as saying the FISBOs will be a lead generation tool for brokers, but there is some element of that cross mixing. If someone's tried to list their home for 12 months as a FISBO and they're looking for a broker, we have referrals and we'll match them up. I have someone who's listed on the site that has 11 investment properties in Albuquerque, and he immediately expressed that he's tried getting engagement via Craigslist, and he's virtually gotten no response. So there's definitely a need. There's definitely a pain point there. There's not a solution that's robust. There's no Uber of FISBO. So there's a definite pain point there.
Is your target customer like investors who are trying to buy or sell homes, or homeowners who are trying to buy and sell homes? Because those are really different markets. Different marketing strategy, different issues. So which area are you focusing on, or are you just shotting down on all of them?
Yeah, no, we're focused on the individual seller. However, the first couple of sellers I spoke to were investors with investment properties. So they're just, there's a high volume of those here. We are focused on the individual selling their home, but yeah, the first 2 folks I reached out to, one had 11 investment properties, the other had 2, and they're looking at listing all of them. So.
Do you know how many investment homes there are in Albuquerque?
I don't have those numbers yet. It's hard to really measure that. I could, on a Craigslist count, there's probably at least 200 in the Albuquerque area right now. Yeah.
By focusing on that market, there might be a way to focus your own efforts and perhaps get better, quicker results than trying to recruit in other folks. Most small businesses don't focus appropriately when they start out.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, have you thought about just focusing on the investor market for right now to get to 200 homes?
Yeah, definitely. Just logically, the one guy has 11 properties. That's a lot quicker ramp up. So, yeah, that's a good comment. I think it would be a lot easier to scale in the investor property realm, and they're also, a lot of the investors are very active looking for FISBOs because they want to cut that 6% transaction. So.
There's a company that specifically focuses on occupied homes that have a renter in them, and hooking up buyers and sellers of those properties because it's immediately, you're generating income. Are you looking at that? I forget the name of that company, but they just got a ton of funding. Are you looking at that market in particular at all as a sub-component? Because it's so much more attractive to buy a place that's already got the income coming.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely in the investor space a really, his suggestion is focusing on properties that are occupied, that are being transacted, sold specifically in the investor realm. That's a lot easier sale when there's income coming from the property. That could be another target if we were to focus on the investor properties, for sure.
I've got a question. So you said that you have actually a distributed team. Are you looking what exactly is your next hire? How are you going to find that person? And is it important for them to be here in Albuquerque?
Yeah, I'm going to be looking for a marketing customer kind of expansion role, and that'll be in Albuquerque as it is our first market.
So as you're expanding, are you looking at only hiring people that are within those markets to be able to make introductions for you, or do you feel that you can continue to expand your team virtually?
Yeah, I mean, immediately we'll be focusing on the geographies that we're working in, Albuquerque and then Denver. You know, I'm not opposed to virtual teams, especially on the dev and tech side. We do have a development team over in India, but we are looking for domestic resources. But for sure, the first hires in the expansion will be in the geographic areas we're working in. TJ. Yeah, Zekin, we actually spoke with them. They actually, what I've seen with them, they actually provide a platform for brokerages or primarily for companies marketing homes. They're not so much involved in the workflow piece. Dot Loop, as I mentioned, Jet Closing. There's a company in LA or in California called Purple Brick. A lot of those are actually, Purple Brick is more of a brokerage-driven platform, but in the FSBO market, I haven't seen much of anything. There's sublet.com for subletting, but there's less workflow involved with that. Yeah, that's kind of the attractiveness of this space, is I haven't really seen a dominant player in the workflow in real estate, specifically with FSBO.
Two last questions, actually. Of course, red or green?
Green.
Green. And what can we, as a community, do for you?
Yeah, so I'm looking for beta testers to walk through the process and give me feedback on the UX and the workflow, and always looking for tips on the marketing and how to improve the website. Looking for folks looking to get involved on the marketing side, and yeah, just any feedback in general, referrals, in the FSBO market as well as brokerage. We're always looking for that as well.